1 week before the COVID-19 pandemic struck the world, RFG Advisory hosted its annual advisor retreat from March 10th to the 13th on Captiva Island in Florida. Our guest of honor and keynote speaker was the great Dom Raso, a veteran Navy SEAL Team 6 warrior and founder CEO of Dynamis Alliance. Bobby White, RFG Advisory's founder and CEO, has been training with Dom in his civilian warrior program for almost 4 years and still is today. Yet somehow Bobby knew instinctively that this was exactly the right time to introduce RFG advisors to Dom's training and his crush everything mindset. What we didn't know at the time when we sat down to record this exclusive interview with Bobby and Dom was how prescient this conversation would be. What's needed today more than ever in the face of challenge and uncertainty is a warrior mindset and a servant heart, exactly the values we embrace. We invite you to take part in this amazing and transformative series featuring Bobby White and Dom Raso. All right, now we're getting into one of my all-time favorite of your sayings, and that is crush everything. How do you apply the crush everything, really philosophy, the crush everything philosophy around building your practice, serving your clients, and growing RFG? I'd love for you to give us some concrete examples because it's fun to say crush everything, but some concrete examples, especially as it relates to your role as an advisor and how you take that philosophy into the day-to-day of your practice.
That's yeah. So crush everything. I say probably 10, 20 times a day to the point people roll their eyes at me. But I love it. And I love it to the point to where I brought it into the firm. And most everybody in the firm, hey, look at there. We wear the crush everything bands to remind us. And it's fun because, I'll be talking to our director of technology and, and he'll say, well, we got that done. And guess what? I freaking crushed it. And I love it. So yeah, as simple as a term as it is, it's a cornerstone of how we work together and how we attempt to stay motivated and definitely dedicated at RFG. To me, crush everything is the state of mind. How you do anything is how you should do everything. They always saying if it's worth doing right. I totally believe that. But as I've gotten older and I've learned more and I've gotten more experience, if it's worth doing, it's worth freaking crushing it. Okay, don't do it haphazard or however. If you're going to do it, go all in. Okay, as it relates to an advisor, to your question, and the one thing that comes up, but one of the big subjects in our industry right now, and granted, is fee compression. And the clients are going to try to be combative at times as far as your fees, your fee structure. And we all want to get the most value that we can get out of any type of product or service for the least price that we can. That's human nature. But the biggest thing that I see, first of all, fee compression is real in the industry. The reason it's real in the industry is because advisors allow it to be real in the industry. That's something. If you decide to not participate in something, it's not real. Okay. If you're going to participate, because here's the deal: the race to the bottom is real. And it's all around us. I'm not going to sit here and say that it's not a real thing, but how you answer it makes all the difference. And you can't hesitate. And I'm not going to get to that battle to the race to the bottom, because whoever wins that race loses that battle, and so they're going to be out of the war at that point in time, because they're going to lose that battle altogether. So when very rare do I have a client, and my average client is larger than most. It's not the ultra high net worth, but they're higher net worth than the most. I rarely have that conversation, but I do, and I'm not going to be so up there to the point where I say I never lower my fee. there are circumstances that I will do it. They're a huge center of influence. They referred a lot of business to me. There's a relationship there, and I'm like, sure. At times, there are times that I will lower my fee, but it's not going from 1.5% down to 50 basis points. We're talking 5, 10, 15 basis points here. And I'll say another thing before I jump into that. We at RFG, we're not the most expensive firm on the street by any means, but I can go ahead and tell you, we are not the cheapest firm on the street either. And if you look at the average fee for the advisors on the RFG platform, we're way above average on the higher end. And we very rarely have clients questions about the fee. You know why? Because our clients do not mind paying for value. If you're giving a client value, I'm this way with anything, whether it's with a vehicle, whether it's a house, I'm paying for someone to do something. If you're giving me exceptional value, I'm more than willing to pay a higher price for that. So the biggest thing when that conversation does come up, you can't hesitate. And what I do when it does happen is I've got a sheet I keep with me at all times that lays out the value of the services I provide to my clients. And when that conversation comes up, I'm like, we can certainly lower your fee. But let me remind you the services that I'm providing for you right here. And let's go through these and you let me know what you don't need. Well, I want all of it. I mean, I'm pleased, Bobby. I'm pleased where I'm at. I'm just, I'm looking around. I'm hearing my friends say they're paying 20, 30 basis points less than you. Are they getting those services? If they are, you might want to go talk to them. Now we can talk about lowering your fee, and I'm very respectful when I have this conversation. The good news is I don't have to have this conversation very often. But the biggest thing as it relates to a crush everything attitude is hesitation. Because as soon as you hesitate, if you're my client and you say, "Hey, Bobby, I want to talk about lowering my fee," and I hesitate, okay, I'm already on my heels, right? I'm on my heels right now. But if I go, okay, let's talk about that. Let me get this sheet that talks about the value of my services. That's one example that's big right now as it relates to fees. One of the big things that advisors and they should be looking at doing this. I don't agree with the way that a lot of advisors are doing this, but they're starting an advisory board, and a lot of industry leaders suggest that you have clients as that advisory board, and that's okay. But that's called a client advisory board. When I say advisory board, I'm talking about a group of individuals that are going to help you take your practice, your business, the business that you are now a CEO of, okay, to, from $100 million of assets under management, 500 million to $1 billion to $2 billion. You need a group of intelligent individuals that believe in your goals, believe in the direction, believe in your strategy. So I have an advisory board. I've had one for years, and I don't have a client advisory board, but I stay in such contact with my clients. I think the client advisory board is good, but it's different. It's totally different. That's more to talk about and advise you on what the client experience should be like. I have an advisory board, or we have an advisory board here at RFG, you and I and Rick, our other partner. And we were very intentional. I was intentional prior to you and Rick joining, and we all been intentional with the two that we've added. But these are business leaders, not there's one of our advisory board that is in our industry. We're not competitors, but he is in our industry and he understands our business. I never wanted someone in our business to be on the board because I'm on the board. I'm like, why do I need someone else? But then we got to a size where it's like, you know what? It wouldn't be bad to have someone, a business leader in our industry that understands the talk and the walk to be on that board. And we added that member over this past summer. But we have 5 unbelievable. I encourage you to go to our website and take a look at our advisory board members, because they're very, very smart people that believe what we are doing. They believe in the vision, and they call us out. Even though they're an advisory board, they really act like a board of directors. Wouldn't you agree? And we love that, man. I want someone to call me out. I don't want a board member that's going to just say, yes, Bobby, I think that's a great idea. I want someone to call me out and say, are you an idiot? There's no reason to do that when we're going this direction. So, where the crush everything attitude comes in is most people, unlike you and Rick and I think would be fearful to some extent to have the level of intelligence and the level of experience that our board member brings to the table and the expectation because they hold us accountable. They hold us accountable. I mean, half our board are have invested directly into RFG, and so it is almost like a board of directors. They're holding us accountable for those things. So I mean, that's two examples as it relates to having to crush everything. Philosophy or state of mind that I think would be helpful from that standpoint.
And now we take you to Captiva Island with Bobby and Dom. I hear you guys say crush everything. What does that even mean?
So we always have a choice, right? We always have a choice of what attitude we're going to bring into life. We have to choose yes, no, right, wrong, left, right. And the attitude that we bring into it is up to us. And we're going to face difficulty, we're going to face challenges, but crush everything is something that I believe that this life is so short and we only have a limited amount of opportunity that every second we are given is an opportunity to put 1,000% of our effort into what we're doing and not waste it. There's been way too much put into building the foundation for us to be here today, the sacrifice, the people that we honor, the blood, sweat, and tears that's given us this amazing freedom and advantage on everything else that we do. So crush everything to me is putting your heart and soul into each decision, each action, and having the best possible attitude into everything that you do.
Yeah. To me, it's a state of mind. It's people say all the time, if it's worth doing, it's worth doing right. I think what we do and what I've learned from you over the last 3 years that I've been training with you is if it's worth doing, it's worth freaking crushing it. Take it a step further, and it's not just in the warrior spirit that I learned from you, being at SEAL Team 6 member. It's in the business world too. It's adaptable and it's transferable. Most of my day is spent in meetings and travel and negotiating deals and things such as that. I carry that I've got the crush everything attitude by training with you and the combatives and stuff I learned from you. But I transfer that over to my business dealings and dealing with my employees, dealing with my partners. If it's worth doing, not only is it worth doing right, but it's worth freaking crushing. That's what it means to me.
The standard of that attitude that we take with us is, you always hear the rule of 5, right?
Oh, yeah.
The people that you surround yourself with. So if you want to get better, you surround yourself with people that are better at you than something.
That's right.
And everybody is always better at something than you are.
That's right.
If I want to get good at business, guess who I'm hanging around with?
Right.
I'm hanging around with you. Because I want to absorb that mentality. And the difference that you see in our training and what we've done is that I've had to connect everything to reality. It was real. Before I walked out that door, it was either my buddy's life or my life, that our gear, our training, our attitude, everything had to be locked in because it was your life depended on it. So that translates to everything else. People just don't get to see it every day.
Right.
People don't walk in to go work at the bank or work at a desk job and say, okay, my life depends on this today. I got to get these numbers right. And they should be. They should apply that mentality to everything that they do because the truth is that your life does depend on it. So I think that's the translation that's so powerful. And me seeing you absorb that and seeing you take in that attitude is just one more confirmation like, look, we're all in this together. We all have the same opportunity each and every day we wake up, and it's a choice of whether we choose to use it or not.
Right. I think it goes back to kind of the Leah principle that you talk about all the time too. Yeah. Either you're a liability, you're an independent, or you're an asset. And we talk about that as it relates to the scaling system or scoring system and training with you. But again, it's totally transferable to business, because what you're looking for is that asset. And there's very, very few people will make that level, whether it's like the training we do or it's in business. You've got, hey, look, we're around liabilities, even in the workplace. Maybe they're not stepping up the way they need to do. Maybe they can and get to that independent status, and they do a good job, and you can count on them. But when it comes down to empowering others to do better, maybe they just don't have that. They don't have that crush everything attitude, or the will to fight mentality, or whatever. And those few people that become asset in everything they do in life, those are the ones that will empower you and have that crush everything spirit. And it's amazing to watch and be around that rule of 5. If you can just be around those people all the time, man, how awesome would that be?
And it's not always comfortable.
No, it's not
comfortable to hang around with people that
no, because they're going to push you all the time.
And that's why I asked, what was my first question? I said, okay, raise your hand if you're an asset. And people were like,
should I? I don't know.
I'm like, yes, you're an asset. Raise your hand. Like, you better believe you're an asset, because if there is that scale and you know that you can either be a liability or an asset in any environment you walk into, something's up to me and makes me scratch my head if you're not striving to be an asset.
Right.
If you're not trying to be the best that you can be, why?
Yeah.
I want to know why. What's stopping you? What's blocking you from reaching your full potential in everything? And like how you do anything is how you do everything.
Mm-hmm.
How we sit here and do this interview and talk with each other and work through this is the same thing that we're going to do to apply when we go out here to crush a workout,
Mm-hmm.
or you go make a business decision, or I have to pull my gun out and save somebody's life. Like, it all matters. It's all connected. So put everything else that you can into it. That's the crush everything attitude. That's why it applies so much.
That's a wrap. Thank you so much for joining us. For more content like this, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on social media.